We now have a chance to take some questions from the audience, and you can direct them at one of the speakers or just ask a general question. Cynthia, up there.
Gail, do you care if we use your name when we write somebody like Senator Stabenow? I have written lots of letters to congressmen and senators and stuff, and I thought your credentials, Doctor of Veterinary Medicine and a Master of Public Health, would qualify you to give some information to them, because I have been worried about that May 7th when they showed that up about that one bill that's been introduced every year. I've seen that, so maybe if you live in Washington D.C., maybe you know her and maybe you've met with the Senate Ag Committee.
Well, I haven't met with the Senate Ag Committee. I've met with some members of the Ag Committee, but I'm in Washington D.C. and if you could certainly use my name, I'm certainly willing to meet with her or her staff. And staff is usually just at least as good as meeting with the member, because staff's the one who gets stuff done. I'm willing to meet with her staff anytime she wants to. I've met with Gillibrand, who's also on the Ag Committee, and she's been doing some good work. But I haven't got Stabenow's not asked to talk to us about this.
Oh.
So we have some work to do here in Michigan.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions? Put your hand up. Up front.
In 19...
Hold on, wait.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm juggling a few myself. Back in 1970, I went to work for Michigan Farmer magazine and became managing editor of the magazine. And I watched the CAFO industry come into Michigan. And I really think that there was a failure of leadership on the part of farm organizations to realize what they were doing and what they were up against. And I watched them make a transition from being farmer-led organizations to becoming large insurance companies where most of their profits came from other areas. And I wondered, what do you think the role is of farm organizations in order to make the kinds of changes? How do we mobilize the very powerful farm organizations in farm states to make the kinds of changes that you want to see made?
Do you want to direct that to each of the panelists?
Anybody who's willing to do it, because it's a tough question.
Well, first of all, there's one farm organization that has, longer than just since the 70s, represented Wall Street and the Board of Trade more than has represented agriculture. And it's not true all across the states. And we work in some states with the Farm Bureau, but generally it has a greater interest in expansion of exports as opposed to really focusing on what I would say is the traditional agriculture within this country. First, I think all of us, if you're a member of an organization, you're not happy with what they're doing, then get involved in that organization and change it. Second thing is, I think that that helps hold them accountable. I think too often we complain and we just sit at home. And we're buying the same insurance, and we're the same members. So I think a lot of it we have to empower ourselves. Second is that get involved in other farm organizations. The Farmers Union here is a small organization, but the National Farmers Union is I think the oldest farmer organization in Washington, D.C. And think about maybe switching organizations, find an organization that represents your values. But the one thing I grab the mic for is that we have to begin to be empowered, and the best way to do that is get up and do it, and encourage your neighbor to do it. I do think that the three, if you take sustainable ag, environmental, and animal welfare, if we find a way to all get up and move together, we will have the power. And start internally. I'm a member of the Farm Bureau and the Farmers Union. And I try to stay active in both. Some like me better than others, though.
That was well said. I'm a big fan of the Healthy Food PAC, Political Action Committee. And I kind of feel that there is such power in the Pork Council and the corn growers and soybean growers and all these organizations that The most effective counterweight that I could possibly find is if we could create that coalition that Joe just described and get people to start to pay $10. And if we eaters, responsible eaters and producers who want the change can put some money into this process, and it's an unfortunate process, but even big groups like the Humane Society depend on big budgets to get their work done. I think we need to fight fire with fire. And we need to be able to sit down with the senator from Michigan and with a lot of clout, lay out an alternative plan. And so, you know, I think at some point getting political is going to not just involve getting involved, but putting some money in the table. And we've seen actually the effective rise of internet fundraising. It has affected presidential elections. I think it can certainly affect the food system.
I would also agree with both of the sets of comments. And I think that the key thing here is one of the reasons the Farm Bureau is effective is that they have a presence in every county. And there are sustainable eaters in every county in Michigan, for sure. There are sustainable farmers, probably in most counties in Michigan. There are people who care about the quality of their food, they care about the quality of their water and their air. And our challenge, as I think Joe had said multiple times in his talk, was actually bringing together these various groups that care into a single force, which we have not succeeded in doing. And it's not being intimidated by them either. I think that's one of the lessons I've learned over the many years of working on these issues, is watching people like Lynn and Dean Henning, what they do when they're intimidated. They figure out how not to get trapped. They move forward. They fight back. They speak up. And we need to invest in everybody who cares about these issues, the sense that they can do that, because that's the only way we're going to succeed.